Okay, we'll call the meeting to order and call roll call.
Travis Gamble.
Here.
Bill Cooper.
Here.
Richard Buchler.
Here.
Ira Hawkins.
Here.
Okay, approval of agenda as presented.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Second.
Got a second? You ready, Travis? All those in favor? 3-0. Approval of minutes, 1/13/2015.
Oh. You want a cigarette? That's what I asked.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from January 13th, 2015.
Second.
Got a second? All those in favor? Passed. Okay, we got guests tonight. Taylor Green, PC, 2013-2014 audit.
How you all doing tonight? Good.
Pretty good.
We were requested to give an update on the audit. And in addition to that, there's a couple other things that we would like to discuss with the council. One really doesn't have anything to do with the city of Granby, except for the city. And the other one is specific to the city. But we were asked to come and explain why that we are over budget in doing the audit as far as the fee goes. And so what I want to do, I got a couple things to hand out to you. That is a list of some of the difficulties that we've encountered with the audit. And the second thing that I gave you is to give you an idea of the magnitude of some of those difficulties. This is a list of all the entries that we have found necessary to make in the books and records of the city of Granby in order to get the financial statements completed. And you'll notice that they're basically 17 pages long with the total amount of adjustment on the 18th page. So we've made about $2.5 million worth of adjustments on the books during the year. Now, not all those are bad adjustments. Some of them are normal and necessary and are ongoing every year. But a lot of them aren't. And the list that we gave you gives you an indication of some of the difficulties that we've encountered. And if I had to say the biggest areas of concern, I would say that it probably has to do with payroll, transfers of funds, and a lot of things like that. There's duplicating work going on. And I'm going to speak in generalities, and if I need specifics, that's what Nancy's for, okay? Because she's the one that's in the, the nuts and bolts of the audit. But in just going through the list of adjusting journal entries that are here, you'll notice in the memo column, it'll give you an indication of why it was adjusted. And in most instances, those are items that were incorrectly posted to begin with. Now, some of them are reversing entries from last year, and those are normal. There are some entries where we take capital asset purchases out of your capital outlay expense account, and we put them on the balance sheet where they're supposed to go for the financial statements, and those are normal. Those things aren't any big deal. But it's the ones where items are posted incorrectly or double posted in some cases.
We got any certain pages we could mark on what you're talking about, like the ones that shouldn't be done that way or something? Or most of them, like you said, the first one was probably okay. The reversed duplicate payroll entries.
Well, no, those aren't okay. That's not a reversing entry from the previous year. That's a reversing entry of a journal entry that was made into the books that was unnecessary to make. The payroll is being double entered into the books. It's entered at the time that the paychecks are created, and then it's entered again when the money is transferred from the different fund accounts into the payroll account. And that second step is not a necessary step. In fact, it's an incorrect step. Everything is taken care of when you actually do the payroll function. Everything is put exactly where it's supposed to be. So there's no need to make additional entries in payroll. So,
You understand that, Paul? I guess you do. You looked at it. Do you understand what
I
he's...
don't have anything in front of me, so I don't know what I'm looking at, so I'm all right.
You don't have one of these?
It's okay. It's all right. See, and we had talked about, we were gonna try and fix this, and I just kept doing it the way it's been done for the last 10 years.
It is a adjustment from the 8 books to the one that's kind of growing pain.
Just a matter of changing it, is that when you all get together?
Yeah.
So I guess my question here is, so far, anyhow, is, are we making any improvements the way things were last year? Because I know it was all big overreach last year, in your opinion.
well,
And I had a short period of time to try and
In-
do this.
and I'm gonna say yes, when we look at the overall total amount of time that is going to be required to finish the audit, there's an improvement, okay? Our biggest suggestion last year was that we take the QuickBooks files and put them into one file. So much easier. That way you don't have all these different files to work out of. There's one file. And you can work in one file. And we had indicated that we would assist in that if so desired. But we were never asked to come and look at this. There was one time that Paula faxed us some chart of accounts, and we took a look at it. I think there may have been one other phone call for questions. But we were never asked to come and take a look and see what had been done to see if everything was on the right track.
That would be part of the audit.
That wouldn't be part of the audit, no.
But it would be a cost savings in final.
It would, yes. I don't think that things, the way that they are gonna get any better. I think that you guys are chasing after this stuff, year after year after year, okay? It's not doing anybody any good for us or anyone else, even our predecessor audit firm, to come in and say, you know, this isn't right, it's not right, it's not right, but it doesn't ever get any better. It doesn't, there's no improvement. There needs to be some training, there needs to be some oversight, there needs to be outside accounting firms to come in and take a look at things. Something needs to be done in order to get everything on a good solid track. Because if you don't do something like that, you're spinning your wheels. Every year, we're gonna be doing the same thing that we've done for 3 years. So,
And I guess as a council, you assume that everything's running smooth in the bookkeeping part of what we do here. Because you never see, I don't see too much about what's going on. Now, last year, I was a part of the council that agreed to pay the overage, and I think we split with you $16,000, $15,000, something like that, but it ended up costing us, was it $8,000? Something like that. And I said then, we can't be on a collision course with hitting that number again, because that's just taking money right out of the citizen's pocket, in my opinion. The last audit that I have that you guys gave a list of things to do to try to eliminate some of those problems, and I have those here. I still have them, looking at them. But it seems like what we're doing right now is bouncing off the same things. And I'll refer this question to Paula. What changes were made that was on this original sheet have we made to try to avoid another collision course with an $8,000 or $9,000 overage?
I tried to get everything into the one QuickBooks, including, all the funds. The payroll, Nancy and I talked that we were gonna get back with each other, and it just didn't happen. I didn't know that I was duplicating payroll. Like I said, that's the way the payroll had always been done before, so I didn't know.
Well, I would certainly, if part of this is my responsibility, I would take the responsibility for it. I would do something different. My assumption here, and then maybe I shouldn't be assuming, is that all the responsibilities of bookkeeping as a whole falls in the lap of city clerk. Am I correct there, or is somebody else helping with that? Is there 2 or 3 people that are putting things together?
Miss Kayla and I.
Helps.
Yes.
But ultimately, the responsibility lies on the clerk. Am I understanding this correctly? And we're, as you see it, Brad, we're on another collision course with another high overage. Maybe some improvements, who knows? At this point, we're looking at a bill that exceeds the contract by about $3,000. Am I reading this correctly?
yes,
It
it's good
exceeds-
turn, yeah.
It exceeds about $3,000.
Yeah.
I've asked this question before, and I think I know the answer to it, but a contract is a contract for a certain thing to happen. I'm looking at this way, this ball, this is what we're contracting. If it expands to this, we can't quite cover that in the contract. Am I right in this assumption? It's too big now. It's bigger than what it should. We should shrink that back within the confines of what a contract is. I know Bill had asked the question, so what allowances does a bookkeeping body or an auditing body have as far as a little over or what have you within reason? Is anything that we're doing here ever going to get?
Well, It-
Well,
you
Are
know,
we gonna do this, I mean, are we gonna bump this thing every year at this rate
yes,
if we don't make the changes?
yes.
So we didn't make the changes then from last year.
If, you know, the first year that we did the audit, let me just give you an example, okay? These are, I'm just gonna add this quickly up in my head. 15 to 20 audits of towns in the area that we have audited over the past several years, okay? The most hours that we have put into any of those audits was 363 hours several years ago in a town, in the two-county area, okay? They had a special project going on that year. The first year that we did Granby, we had 465 hours working on the audit, and we ate all of it.
That was the first year.
The first year. We expect to eat some of it. Our fee came out to $26 an hour that year. Second year, it was 417 hours.
Close to the same.
You know, close to the same, a little bit better. I wouldn't eat all of it, I ate half of it. That bumped our fee up to $52 an hour. This year, through December, this bill that you have there, we've got 248 hours in that. And this month, we will have approximately 60 hours, okay? Now, we're not gonna hit 400. We may not even hit 350, okay? But I think that that's attributed more to, we have a better understanding of where to look for the problems than we had in the first year or the second year.
Let me ask you this, Brett, what, as far as your estimate, what was the estimated hours? As far as
Well,
the,
and in a town of Granby's size, with the services that you provide, because not all towns provide gas. Most provide water and sewer, but not all. Should be about 150, 175 hours.
so we're almost double that.
Now, if, you know, I don't really have any idea what you people as a council see on a month-to-month basis for your financial information. I can't imagine that's very good. I can't imagine, the city doesn't even use the accounts payable function of the QuickBooks. The accounts payable function will tell you in an instant, at any given time, the outstanding bills of the city. That's its purpose. And you don't use it. Now, so, you know, that requires us to be able to figure out what's supposed to be in there at the end of the year. It's the same way with accounts receivable. Now, accounts receivable is a little bit more difficult to determine, because not everything is run through the QuickBooks system. You know, with water bills and things like that. So, that's a little bit more difficult to determine. But duplicating the payroll is, I'm sorry, but that's an obvious thing.
So these 18 pages of entries that are not right, that causes the auditor to chase their tail, so to speak, just looking and looking and re-looking and what have you.
Right. You know, the basic procedure on an audit, to simplify it in a nutshell, is that the balance sheet, we go through and we find evidence to prove the amounts on the balance sheet, okay? Who owes you, how much money do you have, what kind of capital assets do you own, what's your debt, what's your outstanding payables, blah, blah, blah. all of that. We look for evidence to support what those numbers should be, all right? And when we have to look really hard to determine, there's an account in QuickBooks, I forget what it's called, liability bank, what's the bank account?
That bank for liabilities.
Bank for liabilities?
Yeah.
It's a bogus bank account, it doesn't exist, it's not a bank account. It's just to put money, to flow money in and out of. And I understand, the use of a clearing account like that, and that it has a purpose, or it can have a purpose, but it's never cleared out. And we have to dig to figure out what's in there that's causing this thing to have, a number, a positive number or a negative number. So it's time consuming.
But these 18 pages here is basically the reason why the costs in Granby are up and will continue to be this way until things are changed. The recommendation to change was in our audit from the year ended June 30th, 2013. I have those here. And I guess I'm just disappointed that we don't have the changes in place. And I guess I'm trying to be clear on just whose responsibility that is. Is it the audit firm to pursue it harder, or is it just our responsibility to get it right the first time?
Well, it's not, I doubt if it's
I
even
guess
possible
you
to
can't
get it right
police
the
it.
first time, okay? But it's not, that's really not the job of an auditor. That's the job of an accountant. And we don't serve the same function, we can't serve the same function. Because we can't get in there and do stuff and then audit what we've done.
The clerk is the city's bookkeeper or accountant. Yes.
In a perfect world, which it's rarely perfect, and the smaller the town, the less perfect it is because of limited resources. But in a perfect world, the financial statements are in good format by the time the auditor comes in. And the auditor takes those and starts proving the information that's on there, okay? And if that's done in a relatively, I won't say simple, but if there's procedures that you go through in order to do that, and if everything goes as planned, it's not that hard a process. It's just time. But what makes it difficult is when we really are not sure what it is that we're looking for until we get deeper into it than we really like to get into it.
And that's more time consuming to get there, right?
Yes.
To make that decision and everything else. Because to me, I'll be honest, I thought, if I make a deal on a certain amount of money, come hell or high water and all, if I didn't bid it high enough, but maybe I bid it low enough to get the job, that's my fault. But I see what you're saying now,
Well, and it's, I'm not gonna, I guess I am gonna fall back on this if I say it, but any engagement letter that you get at the beginning of each audit period, it will say down there where the fee is that this is dependent upon us not running into big problems, in a nutshell. And if we do, because we don't know. Especially if you're going into something new.
So the first time you did the audit and you ran into all those problems, you ate the cost and gave us the reasons why we had the problems. The second time, you run into the same problems, and now the third time you run into the same problems. Am I getting this right 3 times in a row here?
Yes.
And this is January we're already over budget, looks like we're gonna be tagged with another pretty good sized bill by the end of this audit. Am I seeing this correctly?
I'm gonna, yeah, in addition to, you know, it's at 19,000 right now with the bill in December. And you know, I haven't even billed, I haven't billed the city a dime for my time in this audit. This is all the other people in the office. But I work with the city. I mean, I will be willing to cut it down. I don't think that we are just about to the end of all of our questions. So we're just about to the point where putting the statements together, writing the notes and being done. And that process will go reasonably fast. It's the digging that takes the time.
Well, being in the business I've been in all my life, I realize the definition of an estimate. And that's, and I can sympathize with you to where it is an estimate. And sometimes you don't know till you get in there and dig in. But I also know, you know, I've realized that when it's a reoccurring problem, it gets to a point where you can't make a legitimate estimate on something. And if you're making recommendations and they're not being followed through on, and I'm not, if we're not stepping up, and whether it be, the way I look at it, you know, you're making recommendations to the city of what we need to do. If we're not following up on getting back with you on how we need to do it, what we need to do it, and all stuff, it's pretty apparent where the fault was. I mean, if you're telling us we need to do it like this, and I mean, how is the communications between, I mean, are we keeping the communications, are you getting?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, when we request stuff, and I think we even noted in there, we get it.
But I mean, after so many years, you know, I've kind of had a catchphrase where every day's a training mission. I mean, it gets to be when it's just a reoccurring issue, I think it does fall back on us. I mean, we can't hold you liable for our inability to conduct.
And I do have suggestions on the city, on how they can make this better. But I think that you're looking at, or you need to be looking at long-term, okay? Just continuing what's being done it's not working, and it's costing the city more money than frankly, than I think it's worth.
Well, I've never warmed up to the phrase, that's the way it's always been done. Because, so it's always been done wrong, is the only way I can look at it.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'd like to clarify something. When I was clerk, my books balanced to the T when you had the audit. Is that correct?
That's true.
Okay. It's not always been done.
Easy.
I know, but I'm sorry.
I was just
I mean, the books
figuratively,
haven't
I was
always
just
been done like they're being done now.
figuratively speaking.
Well, is it that, do we have the necessary software and equipment in place to do these things that you had requested to be done? It's here. It doesn't need to be bought or searched out or anything like that. It's already here. It's just not being used.
Well, it's not being used, but it's not being used because I don't think that Paula understands how to use it all, okay?
So there
So
needs to be some
there
training.
needs to be some training.
If in my view, if it would be cheaper for us as a council to invest in the right kind of people to sit here for a while and hands-on train if it needs to be done, and invest the money that way, if we could get it right in the end. Like, I don't know.
I agree. I mean, I think that, again, in the long run, it's not gonna be better next year, okay? or maybe even the year after. And I'm talking about not accounting-wise, accounting-wise it will be. It will be better, it won't be better cost-wise for a few years, all right? But I think that you would be better off if you did have an outside accounting firm come in to assist. And I don't mean to take, not to take over, okay, because that costs you a fortune, all right? But to assist. And I see, I can, in my mind, just knowing how things have gone, that if someone, if you had an outside CPA come in 4 or 5 hours a week, every single week, okay, to train, to look over the books, to maybe do some of the segregation of duty type things, like have an outside CPA come and do all the bank reconciliations. To do that, to get things going on the right track. And it will be expensive in the short run, but in the long run, you'll be better off. Because, in my opinion, it's a whole lot better to spend that kind of money than it is to spend auditing kind of money. Because, you know, you're not gaining anything by this.
Well, if you look at the last 2 years, I mean, that's coming close to, I mean, it'd be a measure that comes close to a yearly salary on what we're gonna spend in overage. I mean, we could pay for an outside accounting firm to come in and kind of look over for what we spent probably in the last 2 years, in a year, and get things on the right track with training and oversight. Because obviously, there's no one sitting behind this desk, it's an accountant who really gets a full grasp of what's going on.
And I think that an outside accountant can even help with the kinds of information that you all receive on a monthly basis. It would be better information for you that will help you make better decisions along the way.
You know, we speak as representative of the town, and it'd be hard for me to sell continually spending overages on audits and bookkeeping to the public. When you talk about, you know, 7,000 or 8,000 one year and 7,000 or 8,000 or 10,000 the next year, God knows where it's at. That's a lot of money to invest in just overages that seem like to be easily fixed.
Now, I have a couple other things I want to talk to you all about, so I don't want to rush this, okay, because this is important. But there are a couple other things that I want to talk about.
I want to ask you a question. Yes, sir. Okay, on the quick look, adjustment grading going from multiple cookbook to one, which include, and it's got about a bunch of them through there. Okay, are we started on that yet, or?
Yeah, that was started almost a year ago.
So you've been working like that all on your quick look? Yeah, I didn't even know that. I'm supposed to be the mayor. So has that helped any? Getting it in?
Well, yes, it helps, that's probably the biggest reason for the hour drops for this year, okay? But that wasn't enough. Just doing that wasn't enough.
But the accountant's gonna lead us into that. That's the CPA or whatever. Yeah. You don't have any recommendations, we just go out.
Well, I believe that whoever you pick needs to be familiar with governmental accounting. And not everybody is, okay?
Well, as a council, I don't think any of us really understood, you know, what we really needed to be done next, so we didn't ask for it, and naturally we wasn't gonna get it. So it has cost us a lot more money, and the council before us must have been cutting it like we are. And they didn't get nothing done, and they didn't ask the right questions, and we didn't get the CPA, right? I don't guess we ever have.
No, No, as far as I know, you don't, you're outside accounting.
So we should be looking into that. When's your next, when is the next, audit for Granby? We're just into this year. I mean, this ended,
7 months into this.
Right.
Yes.
we're into the new audit that come up from June or so. Yeah, that's July. So that's when you guys are talking about, back up to July. This is right here, this audit.
Oh, yeah, back to
So now we're on
July
a.
2014.
Yeah, so now we're working on 7 months, 15 we ain't talking about, right?
Right.
So can we help that? Can we help our 15 by
absolutely.
getting an accountant in here and rattle some heads and whatever? So,
But you wouldn't suggest or recommend an accountant or a firm?
name two.
Well, if I was gonna
Free.
recommend anybody, I'd recommend us.
Well, you would
But
be
we can't do both.
Yeah.
We could do one or the other, but we can't do both.
in your mind, two of them that you're thinking about. I'm just asking a question. Two of them. Off your head.
Well, off the top of my head,
You'll show
you
John.
know, your previous auditor, the CPA group in Monette, they do city audits, obviously. And
So
they do,
they would do that, if you're all doing the audit, and they will do the CPA work. Same people. Now I'm on that.
Come out for bids.
but there's gonna be, there's, to my, there is one accounting firm that does, work for a city in the Osho, okay? They've never been,
You haven't done government work.
they haven't done a lot of government work.
And you say that's what they need.
Yeah, but there's several in Joplin, I mean, there's a lot in Joplin.
So we gotta have somebody interested in knowing what they're doing in government affairs,
Yes.
city government affairs. Yes. Yeah. Okay?
Bill, you've been on the council, you know, since when we had CPA group doing our audit. So I'm a little confused at why the CPA group never had these problems and now all of a sudden we do.
That's what I'm trying to find out myself.
They did have
That's-
problems.
Not like this.
It wasn't quite this bad, no, Joanne.
No, it
That's the reason
wasn't.
I questioned the
But if you don't correct it,
$3,000
it
bill, the last council meeting, you know. There were some people that didn't like the last auditing firm.
That's right.
They were very good.
They were very good.
And that's why we got you guys.
Well, have we progressively got worse?
No. It's not worse.
I mean, there's, and I mean, no two people have the same opinion.
Yes, he is.
As far as, I don't know, I see a lot of problems with this. And I've argued this point since the day I took office. Our budget is something that is very hard to understand, and I don't think it's approached properly. As far as being easy to understand, as far as being open to all the department heads and everybody knowing what we've got to spend, I think it's reverse engineered from start to finish. We start out with, we've got so much and we spend until we hurt, and then we amend it to budget. And to me, part of the term, that's ass backwards. You need to know what you've got, and you need to keep everyone informed, and you need to work towards it, not know what you've got and work backwards and holler when you hurt. You can't operate a business that way, and damn sure shouldn't be operating a city that way. And I think it's a lot of it is, once again, it's like, well, this is the way we've done it for a long time, but I still stick to my statement that doesn't mean it's right. And maybe in the past you've been able to get by with that, but in this day and age you can't. And we're already looking at amending the budget, and it's been talked about for a month or so, and it's from no foresight, no looking into the future, and giving raises and acquiring expenditures that the money isn't there to begin with, and we're still spending it recklessly. And, I mean, I sympathize with you. I don't see how you guys come up with the numbers. I mean, and there's no one person, I don't think, to point the blame at. I just think it's the overall misunderstanding, not being, getting the knowledge that you need before you make motions to do things. And I think we all need to be taken back to school on these things. It's easy to sit here and spend money. It's not so damn easy to figure out where it's coming from. A town this small with the issues we've got, I think sometimes we get wrapped up in the moment and not realize what's going on. There's no rich guy named Granby around here writing checks.
The forest for the trees.
Yes.
Well, maybe you can enlighten us on some things that we need to get done, start getting done. Maybe we can be man up and do them instead of working on other things and trying to tear down something else.
We may-
Trying to fix something as important as this.
He had,
Is it possible to have this thing done by, this meeting next month?
Could you like?
I was just asking you, Nancy, if it looked like that it was possible that we could have the audit wrapped up and presented by this meeting next month. Whatever date that is.
And you'll give them more recommendations what to do, right? Get us out of trouble here.
the thing about it is, Richard, I think they have given recommendations 2 years in a row. That was my question.
Well, we didn't have like people that, like a CPA to come in here and help us,
Well-
so, really been doing the job.
Yeah.
All this way, a certain way, and until we're showed by somebody else, so it's a change.
Well, it sounds
Be pretty
like
confusing.
they gave recommendations, but nothing was ever followed through with it.
And now he's telling me how to follow this in here. Get a CPA in here, know what they're doing, and set with Paula and Kayla and help them out and get us on the right route. Even though this is costing more, my notion, this may be the stopping point to get it right. So I don't think we've
Well,
got
you've
much
got
to
a
worry
couple
about as long as we
You
work.
got
at
a
it.
couple other recommendations too, yeah, right?
Well, no, these aren't recommendations, these are things I want to talk to somebody about.
Okay.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I want to move on to it, ready to move on.
I just think there needs to be some accountability over this. We can't continue and change, and that money won't come back to us.
Is the police chief here? And the only reason why I mentioned you is because we knew that there were changes being made to the Max Creek law. And I don't know if anybody here is familiar with those changes, but they're drastic. And the state is real serious about this. So what I've done is I've put together a packet of information for you guys to look at. And the top sheet there is back in June, the state auditor's office sent out this letter to all the cities in the state, telling them that, about these new changes. And it has to do, not only are there changes in the law, but now for the first time there are reporting requirements that have to be sent to the state along with your audit to show that you are complying with the Max Creek law. And the Max Creek law in the past has always been, it was set up to prevent towns from creating speed traps, okay? That was the initial reason for the Max Creek law, all right? Well, they've expanded that. And what they originally said was, and I think the original one was 40%, maybe even 45%. No more than 45% of your revenues of the town could come from traffic violations on state roads.
Diamond received this.
Okay? We won't speak of other towns. Okay? Well, what the new revised law says is that percent is down to 30, but it's not just the state roads, it's all the roads within the town. Okay? And the cities are required to account for all of the traffic violation fines and forfeitures, even those that are written down to equipment failures or whatever. Those are all included. And they've come up with the definitions of what the revenues are that you have to look at in determining whether or not you're in compliance. And those, the second sheet of paper there, the municipal court audit statement, this is how the state auditor's office is looking at the rules and the definitions for general operating revenue and for traffic violation. And general operating revenue has gotten to be a very narrow definition. It can only be general revenues that can be used for any purpose in the city. So if you've got a sales tax, for parks, that's not general revenue. If you've got fuel tax for streets, that's not general revenue, because those items are specific usage taxes, okay? So we've done a calculation, once we became aware of this, because this all came to light just in the last month. And Granby appears to be in pretty good shape, okay? But we want you to be aware of that, because going forward, this is going to be an ongoing thing. And the cities are supposed to track this on an ongoing basis. Fines to general revenues, and though they can't exceed 30%. And there's even talk in the legislature, Nancy found out today, of taking it down to 10%. And at 10% level, it's almost impossible to meet that for any tax.
Well, it's not hard to meet, just anything over 10% the state gets.
Well, that's true. And you know what, we've talked about this in our office. Said, well, you know, what's a town to do? Okay, well, you're not gonna stop enforcing the law, okay? If people have traffic violations, there's traffic violations, you know, they should be ticketed. But if your revenues from fines exceed the threshold, then you have to relinquish that money to the state. And what the state does with it,
No one knows.
no, it's in the statute. It goes back to the school district in the community where this happens. So, let's say that the city, you know, that their fines and forfeitures were $20,000 over what they were allowed to be for a year. You have to send that to the state, and then the state sends that to East Newton School District. And then East Newton School District can do whatever they want with it.
Lottery money.
You know? So, but I wanted you all to be aware of this. You know, we printed off some articles. Just last month, the Attorney General's office filed suit against 13 towns in St. Louis County for violation and not keeping good record keeping. And the penalty for not following this is the state takes over your court system. You lose it. So,
The effective date is 8/28/13 is when it started.
2 years, almost 2 years ago, a year and a half.
yeah. So,
Record.
So anyway,
What we're talking about.
you guys
tonight,
get,
and
you know,
that's
this
the
is
same
for
thing.
your reading and just to get familiar with, because it's, I guess they're getting pretty serious about this. So,
And this audit that we're finishing up, we'll have to have those numbers reported in it. So, not that you're gonna owe anything, but there's a
All
reporting requirement.
fines paid regardless of court, and all the court costs, it all goes together, and that's a lump sum, and that's what we've gotta look at, but it's all gotta be turned in when? Ever.
Just when you turn in your audit.
Oh,
There
yeah.
should be
Oh,
within
really?
6 months.
Right, I don't think that there's I've not seen that there's a requirement to do it once you think maybe you're in violation. I think that, yeah, I mean, we're not really sure about that, you know. Now, by the time the audit is complete,
Then you'll know.
then you'll know, okay?
too little too late.
Yeah, but, you know, if you are at least tracking it throughout the year, then even, it shouldn't be off that much. You know, it might be off a little bit, but it'll kind of let you know where you're headed. So, you know, okay, going into November, it looks like maybe we've hit our max. So, but just be prepared to relinquish that money if we have to. So, yay. Great news. Okay, all right. The last thing that I want to talk about is, before Christmas, Nancy and I had a meeting with the mayor and the fire chief on what to do about these 2 bank accounts that were closed. Because we need resolution on that in order to wrap up the audit, okay? And it was my understanding at the time that it was going to be brought before the council, and the council was going to decide what happens to that money.
Well,
But we haven't heard anything.
Kevin,
We hadn't brought it to the council
I
yet.
know you haven't, but you know about what you want to do.
Really,
We've already done it, really.
we closed the accounts out because as firefighters fundraiser accounts several years ago, the bank had an audit or something, and they required a tax number. Either one, the past city clerk or mayor said, put the city tax number on it, it'll be okay. That's the only way that the auditors found out we even had the account. There's $2,500 total in this account. And everybody's up in air about $2,500.
I thought you bought something, though.
We haven't yet, because I was waiting to see what they was doing with the audit.
Yeah.
But the money was, Travis even donated to car shows. Everything we've done down here is fundraiser. That was the firemen's fundraisers.
Yeah. He wants to get
And
rid of
now
it.
the auditors are saying that we have to get approval from the council to spend any of that money.
Yeah, that's our take, is that money belongs to the city, okay? We don't care what you do with it, but there needs to be some kind of resolution to it from the council.
I think he wanted to get permission from us. And I
But we
think he
need it
has an
before
idea.
we can finish the audit.
Okay, he has an idea of what he wants to do. You want to come up with next day or two and tell us right
Yep,
now?
I'll have it by the next meeting.
Next meeting, okay. Next meeting we'll have.
But I don't see the fire department doing any more fundraisers if we can't have control of our own money that we have raised without going through the council. Because over the years, we bought equipment, we bought our t-shirts and stuff out of that account. That was the firemen's money that they raised. It's nothing that we asked the city for.
I think that probably technically the problem is when you put it under the tax audit.
But I understand that part, but that was done years ago. These accounts have been open for 20 years or more. And now all of a sudden,
Is that basically what the fundraisers were for, just to raise money for the
Yeah.
firemen and
You know,
individuals
for that.
for your
That-
different
we
functions
had the
and
chili
things?
feeds, that's where the money went into those accounts. We had the car shows, that's where the
Well,
money went
how
into
do
the
you,
account.
how do you maintain, how do you monitor those monies?
It was
What's the-
all put in the account, we had a checking account, I've got all the statements. You know, it was fire department account, so everybody thought it was separate from the city.
But you had to pull it out of the bank, is that what you're saying?
We had a checking account, yes, and all this come up, so we closed the account out. Nobody on the city council, city office was on the signature cards. It was the firemen's that was on the signature cards.
I think that and that's just like I think until last year, the cemetery trust fund had never been found.
So my suggestion is, we're gonna spend $2,500 on something and close that account plumb out, and probably the firemen will not have another fundraiser if that's what we've gotta go
Okay, we
through.
hate that part, because I hope it's gonna work. Come to the next meeting and give us your idea, and see if we can't close it out, and we won't worry about that no more. But I do hope you go ahead and
Well, is
do things, because
is
it's
there any,
been an awful
is there any
good
other,
thing for our town to
is there
have.
any other opportunities to hold your own money? I mean, what's the
Well,
the ins and outs of
yeah,
that.
see, it's our contention that it's, unless there's a separate organization that's established for the purpose of providing things to the fire department from that organization, that outside organization, then it's not the city's.
So like.
But if it's for the firemen,
So if the fireman is.
the firemen are there for what? The fire department. The fire department belongs to who? It belongs to the city.
So I'm trying to figure out what works. If the firemen then, say the fireman's auxiliary or the wives or whatever the case is, they're a separate entity.
Right.
And they raise money for the fire department, then it can be their money, right? It's not really
Sure,
the fire
absolutely.
department's money.
Absolutely.
So they could raise theirself, only it's
Absolutely.
like an auxiliary, just
Right.
like a boosters
That's why,
club or like
there's,
a
the Friends of the Library, the Friends of the Fish Hatchery, the Friends of this, the Friends of
friends of the
that.
fire
You
department, like a,
know,
yeah,
all
like
of those kinds of organizations.
I think we can work that out
Perfectly okay.
later, I really do. And Kevin, I hope his team, can get on that and not everybody be bothering them, take that tax number off of there,
Right.
get away from that
All
with
we
the
wanna
city.
know is,
You wanna know
last
if
year it's
yeah.
there, this year it's gone, we don't know what to do with it.
He wants to know.
It's gotta come off of the books, or it's gotta go
So
on
it's
the books.
basically just about these dollars. That's all
Right,
it's-
that's all, that's right.
Kevin's
That's all
got an
we
idea
care about.
already. Just
So-
wait till next week and we'll take care of it.
So
Our next 2 weeks.
figuratively speaking, just, they can have all the fundraisers they want as long as it doesn't get involved with an account that has the city's tax ID number.
Yes.
That's what.
Now, well, yes. Yes, but it's gotta be separate from the
Yeah,
fire
yeah,
department.
it's got to be represented in a different
Yeah.
context. Yes.
Yeah, there's many different organizations out there that raise money for, I think, firemen, or they raise money for the police department and different.
How you say it?
That are their own, yeah, fish hatcheries, whatever, it's just they're like the friends of,
Yeah.
and then they hold the.
Do those organizations have to register as nonprofit organizations in order to do that legally?
Most of them are.
So that whoever donates can get a deduction, that makes,
Okay, I got a question for you. Since the city always classifies the firemen as not employees,
Well,
Actually,
that,
I'm the
and
only-
that doesn't really
Actually, I'm the
matter.
only
They're
one-
doing a function of the city. The fire department belongs to the city. It's not a rural fire department. It's not operated by some other political subdivision. It's operated by the city of Granby. And
whatever.
We'll get
get
past
rid of
it,
the
Kevin.
money
We're
and.
we're with you, buddy. We'll get past it. It just takes time. But the next meeting, we'll get the parts you're talking about, so you clearly own it, okay? So what's wrong? Kevin?
And let me tell you what the easiest thing would be, okay? The easiest thing is, okay, we're gonna put that back on the books, because it's 7 months ago, all right? We're gonna put it back on the books at June 30, and then you make a resolution now that what they can do with it, and then it affects the current year, in the story.
Yeah, it's clear. Okay, got all that down, Paul.
Okay. I'm taking up too much of your time.
Well, that's good. We've got to take care of our little problems too, and start working on the bigger problem. So I hope we can take it to heart what you said tonight, and about this accountant helping us with CPA, helping us clear things up, and we're on the right road on that part. We've got a lot of things in this town to do. We haven't done, we are working on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad. Anybody have any questions before we leave?
I was wondering if there is a state audit, would it find out anything different than what you're telling us?
State audits generally do different things than financial statement audits. The state auditor, when they come in and do an audit, they're looking at procedures and conformity with laws and rules and regulations. They're not looking as much at the financial aspect as they do the operating and procedural aspect, as laid out in the statutes.
How is that different from what you're doing?
We do a financial statement audit. We look at the numbers for the most part.
not where the money is going to, or so much then, or? I'm trying to figure out what's the difference between, say, audits here. You know, that-
Well, the difference is, I mean, you know, in a, simply put, it's just, we do a financial statement audit, the state does a procedural audit. And although there can be overlapping, they don't have the same end goal. What we do is that we give an opinion on whether or not the financial statements are free of material misstatements, okay? What it says that you got in the bank accounts, you got in the bank accounts. What it says that you owe people, you owe people, okay? That's what we do. What the state looks at are things like, okay, are you following this rule and regulation in what you're doing here, okay? And that's what they look at.
And you can get online on the state auditor's office and read through audits that they've done, and they give suggestions. And the other thing that they do is there's a time limit. They come back and see if you've actually done their suggestions, and if you haven't, there's consequences.
And probably our CPA, if we hire one to do the right job, we'll be gaining on that.
Right.
And that is true. All state audits are public information. They're on the state auditor's website.
Okay, it was asked that you had made recommendations, and you were saying that they hadn't been carried through. If the state auditor makes recommendations, chances are they will be carried through, like them out. Would that be correct now?
I would say that'd be correct. They may be different, but yes.
Okay.
Can your firm have someone to do in-house training for a few hours a week at Granby? Could you have somebody in your firm that can do that?
Well, it's not really, and it's not because we can't do it, but if we continue to be the auditor,
Yeah, oh, I
we
see.
can't do it. It's a conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Well, before he leaves tomorrow, I make a motion, we go ahead and pay the $3,000 bill.
$4,000 bill.
For,
It's 3,000.
3,000 extra.
So how do you do that, 3,000, how much we owe you?
4,000 on this one.
4,000?
On the invoice.
Is that what's on the invoice, 4,000?
what'd you sell for 3?
I'll second that.
All
I
those-
just said you're doing, guys, what's wrong with you?
Okay, we got a motion on the floor to pay the audit company here $4,000, hoping that's close to the end. All those in favor?
Got a second? We got a
I
second?
second. I second.
You got a second? All those in favor? 3 of them? Okay, good. All right. You want that in check with a $100 bill? You want that check?
The city shouldn't be paying bills in cash.
We didn't need that.
Okay, we're not talking about business. Bill wants to go home, you know, I don't know. Huh?
Yep.
Okay, our next one, docket here, Linstead, reference on deciding about community building and information. That'll be what we're listening for, Martin, is you're deciding about community building and TIF commission.
Yes. When I was here the 13th, I asked for, why can't we do a referendum? Now, the consultant or something like that said that a referendum was not binding. I said, I agree with that. This is not a referendum initiative process as according to the Missouri Constitution. Rather, what it was is it would have the actual voters and presumably maybe taxpayers decide what to do with the remainder of the TIF money and essentially the community building. And I just pretty well woke up to that because I read about the Chester building. 12 years ago, I said, you know, I heard that they were saying, hey, we need smaller rooms here for the special education people. And essentially, the old Chester building was for sale. I said, you don't even need to do eminent domain. You can simply buy it. You have plenty of small rooms, because I was treated that for a bird. I says, hey, why don't you why don't you just simply buy that and save $3.whatever million. And essentially, they did not want to do that. They wanted $100,000 to build, essentially renovate a building here.
Art, has that got something to do with the community building and the TIF? Did you go ahead? and
Yes,
fix
yes,
that?
well, I'm getting to that. I mean,
Right.
Richard did the same thing to me here. I was gonna ask a question or so, and you gave it to a woman who had 90% of the time. I was wanting to ask questions as to why do you need to spend $22,000 for sprinklers when essentially you can simply pass a measure that no more than 299 people can be in there? Why do you need more bleachers? Why do you need all this sort of money? And I didn't really get too much of an answer, and it seemed to me that you guys did not want a referendum on this, a non-binding referendum. Now, yesterday, came over here, and I said, hey, look, do I go ahead and talk about this referendum? And essentially, Paula called up to K-Bomb over at the county commissioner, and I got the impression, like I told Paula, I says, well, why don't you go ahead and just tell her to quit, call 911, Mad Dog's in here, and I'll hold them off as best I can. It was somewhat of a joke. But, in any case, Richard, you play this little game here. If I think we're being crooked here, there'll be a $400 federal civil rights lawsuit.
You know, that don't, to me, I'm just trying to get you to go on with this, but we got.
Yeah, I know, you were doing the same thing 2 weeks ago. I went ahead.
Can I intervene here just a second?
Sure.
How would you feel, and I would be for us before the election to have another couple of open forum meetings on this?
I'm all for it.
I think we should have one at the community building. And I think there should be probably a little bit easier reading questionnaire sent out and get, because the paperwork that I got on what we did receive as far as back on the questionnaire that was sent out, it stated in there that we really shouldn't make an assumption because the level is so low.
Yeah.
I think we need more public input. I think it needs to be more publicized. And I think we really need to, as a council, I think we need to get behind this, and we do need to listen to what the people have to say. Because my personal opinion is the opinion of one. Granted, I was elected, but I'm not sitting here willing to speak my opinion on what could happen that affects everyone in the community. Because in a couple of years, I could be gone, and whatever decision I make, everybody's stuck with. So I'm with you on that. I think there needs to be more open discussion.
I definitely agree.
More questionnaires, and to talk to people one-on-one and not be a hurry, rush deal in the doing. I agree with you on that.
Can I ask
Okay,
you
Jimmy.
one thing? What was, go back to the original ballot when the TIF was passed or voted for, what was they had to have a plan, wasn't it, Bill?
Mm-hmm.
And that the people voted on, which is the same thing you're asking for,
Yeah.
and which is the same thing they're
They did.
proceeding to do right now.
We had this
Right,
conversation,
Bill?
I had this conversation with him this afternoon after I picked up the agenda here. We had a rather interesting discussion for about 15 minutes here. I was looking at that building and.
I think we can all come
Okay.
to an understanding. We can all get together and make a strong decision on it. That everyone, I mean, obviously you're not gonna be able to satisfy everyone, we all know that.
Probably not even me,
But
I agree with you.
But I'll damn sure try. I mean, I want everyone.
We should have a number of actual meetings wherein people go ahead and have their say and not be cut off under guise of procedure. In any case, moving on, I did talk to this gentleman and two other city workers, and I've got a YouTube video, and I'm gonna probably put my own spin to it, but in any case, I called K-Bomb. You know, I talked to her quite a bit. I'm running for mayor. There's probably gonna be another federal civil rights lawsuit. I'm probably gonna try to dissolve the state of Missouri. I'm not gonna succeed. I'm gonna go ahead and cause some mischief over it, because what they're doing is that they are essentially cutting off people from running for governor on the grounds that they're, quote, white supremacists, which is fine by me. But getting on there, I talked to K-Bomb. she said, there's quite a bit of stuff on the ballot here. I said, well, can't you use the back of the ballot? Essentially a non-referendum here. And she had talked to Paula and said, well, guess what? Today at 4:30, I have to certify the election. So here I am. I made a number of other phone calls on other things, but in any case, talked to her and says, hey, look, non-binding. It's non-binding, because that's the impression here. You guys essentially can do whatever you want. The bad part about it is that in the news today, there's this Wallace Bajali, and he runs out like a thief in the night, and now they're missing probably $13 million
Let's
already.
get with the community building.
There you go, the community building.
5 more minutes.
Okay.
5 more minutes, okay?
Well,
That's a long time. That's a lot more than we should be getting.
Oh, really?
5 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Richard, here, when essentially, when there's a couple $100,000 lawsuit, we can go ahead and do it here. Any case, Richard, the point is I talked to Kay Bond, and essentially she said a couple of years ago, in the case of Seneca, they had a straw poll, a non-binding resolution here. I said, how much would that cost? She says, no, it wouldn't cost anything. Because what happens is since it's non-binding, it's understood to be non-binding, that essentially she would just simply put, not on the regular ballot, but for those who want to get the ballot at the election come April, they could go ahead and vote whatever they want. So essentially the point of the matter is that you guys, when it comes down to it, can do what you want. I'm simply asking for the people of Granby who have a stake in this matter to try to tell what they want. I am proposing that in the next city council, what happens is that I perhaps get what I think the statute languages say. You guys go ahead and mull it over. Essentially what it would be is it would be a non-binding referendum on another sheet of paper. K-Bomb says is quite okay with her. Now, if you guys do not want to do that, you cannot do it here.
Don't you think either way that we need to take some more time and get more input?
I agree that essentially, rather than have a situation like Wallace Jolly, although I'll admit 125th is bad, that, pretty well, I certainly do not see. I call that community building the Granby Parthenon or the Granby Pantheon because it dominates the skyline. I have been to Athens. I have been to Rome. And essentially, for good or bad here, they didn't tear down their building. It may have been that the Turks went ahead and stored gunpowder and it blew off the roof, but that wasn't the Greeks doing. Essentially, neither should it be our doing.
Can I ask a question? You're in favor of putting this on the ballot. I don't think we've heard from the council members what their opinions are. I mean, they might be in agreement with you.
They might.
So can we give them a quick chance to say what their thoughts are on putting it on the ballot?
I'm simply saying is that in the next city council, I will put on the agenda pretty well essentially what I think should be on, essentially what I think is that go ahead and fix up the buildings we have with the money. Do absolutely nothing or whatever, just blow out, spend all the money on whatever here. There's probably about 3 major. Do nothing, fix it a little bit, or simply tear it all up here. I get the feeling that I got a totally different feeling. You're actually talking about maybe tearing it down or having other functions. Now I get the feeling is that what they want to do is they want to tear out the maintenance, the maintenance shed, essentially rebuild a new one, out on the Osho Street. Had a little bit of contention because I said, hey, I can go ahead and probably spend $200. Yeah, I know there's a big old crack in the northwest corner. I think I can fix it for $200. But be that as it may here, I do think that the people of Granby should.
Yeah, okay, Mark.
Okay.
Excuse me. You done a good job.
Sure.
My name is Harry Gardner, and I've lived here for 15 years.
Yeah.
Your racist rant last week in the paper, I found very disgusting.
Right. So,
And so I find it disgusting.
okay.
All right. If you
I
are the poster
believe-
board for the Aryan race, they're in deep shit.
Well, don't worry, I think you're a
That's
member
it,
of the Panzer race.
I don't want to do that.
I don't
I just
understand.
want to.
That's okay, Harry, sit down, you're done all right, you said, I'm glad you said
I have
that.
to go home.
You're done.
Next,
I want to make that statement.
next, meeting, I will go ahead and be forward for another agenda.
See you later, Pat.
Your behavior will probably help me go ahead and have one hell of a lawsuit that'll last for years.
Can you guys answer my question? I mean, what are your thoughts on putting it on the ballot?
Well, it seems like to me that,
Or having it available at the time of the voting?
right, the sheet that was sent out to every household, I'm not understanding why that wasn't part of what we're talking about here. Wasn't that the opportunity for everybody to speak their piece?
And we only got 8%.
And you got 8% back. What Martin his idea is that everybody that goes to the ballot box will have that in front of them
If they want
to
to vote.
look at. And Travis wants to have another forum or two, and I'm not disagreeing with that, but it seems like we're just, we're kicking the same can down the street.
You have another couple of forums and everything like. You get input from the citizens again, what view shows up. You know if they're gonna, if they wanna go ahead and keep the building on. Well, anyway, whatever happens, then it goes back to the TIF board again. Then the TIF board, we kick it around and decide, is this, do we go to the council with it this way? Do we go to the council with it that way? So, it's not going to be done by election time, I can almost guarantee.
You see,
6 weeks turns into a year.
To me, I've been here now going on 2 years, it seems like things are always kicked back and forth, nothing ever, I have seen more accomplished, at least, looks like more is accomplished in the last 6 months than I have, but, I don't know how long we should let this go. Our community building needs repair now. The maintenance bar needs to be moved according to the original plan, it needs to be done now. I just,
The deal with the
how long do you
community
wanna do
building,
this, I don't know.
I found out today that, of course, we had the meeting down here and all, and the overall opinion of the parents was, one, they don't want it tore down. I've been through that, I preached that, don't mention that, They want to keep it open for the kids to play basketball in. I was told yesterday, and then again today, that they had a tournament, these young kids that's been practicing up here. Where did they have that? They had that at the school. Yes, we don't have bathrooms up here. If we had bathrooms up here, would the tournament been there and the city would have got some kickback on that for expenses?
What they used to do,
Chances are is no.
well, what they used to do, there were so many teams that they would have, the smaller
had
kids,
two
the
spots.
smaller kids would play here, and the older kids would play at,
Well, I guess
And
it
the
depends on
Granby
what they're
Club.
doing with tournament. Is a tournament for a fundraiser for a project, or is it, a school
There used to be
function, or-
tournaments up here that there was money collected and all.
when they done that, the league deal bill at both gyms, the basketball league ran concessions at the other gym, and they got the money for that too. It stayed with the basketball league, out of our gym.
Well, I've sure seen a lot of activity in that building, more than I
But
have,
that's
because I've
how
been
they
paying
get it.
attention to it.
Yeah, they was up there against the night, practicing in there and all,
I think that the community building, as far as I can sympathize, and I realize that certain things have to carry themselves, but I think we also need to realize that building is for the kids. It'll never carry itself, but yet, on the other hand, I think we need to be open-eyed to the fact that the police department doesn't carry itself, the fire department doesn't carry itself. I mean, there's just certain things that don't, that they're there to enhance the community. And you won't make your money off the door, a lot of the money you make is tax revenue by bringing people into town that spend money at our gas stations, at our restaurants, that's where you actually get your payback on it, just a circle.
The consensus, it looks like to me, if you just listen to people talk and what we've got from the questionnaires, and just generally listening to people talk from around the community is put enough money in the community building and gym to fix it up and then move on.
To put a Band-Aid on it.
Well,
and
you
we-
can do some pretty good fix.
But with that also comes, if the parks and rec tax and all that stuff is budgeted properly, you can continue. You can continue to upgrade and upgrade and upgrade. But it's gonna have to be a hard look taken at it, a legitimate look taken at it, what it brings in, what needs to be done, how we're gonna do it. I mean, you can't just, I hate to keep preaching on the budget, but you can't just say we got so much money and stick it to CDs and have parts of the community that could be using that money, setting.
Here's my whole thought on it and all, and everybody can take it and go with it, whatever you want to. Right now, as far as I'm concerned, the most important thing we got is not that community building sitting up there, it's our wastewater treatment plant.
Well, if we could use TIF money out, that'd be a whole different deal, but it's two different subjects.
Yeah.
Wastewater treatment plant should be priority one right now. That up there, it's been that way, it's not gonna fall down overnight.
Well,
But that treatment plant can go to hell in a handbag real quick.
well, I can
And we're
mark
sitting here
that.
kicking the community building around, no.
If a referendum costs nothing to make, you have an obligation to ask the people. If you're not gonna ask the people, I think this shows bad faith, and that means litigation. You can either ask the people, or you can do whatever you want here, but essentially, I don't care if all that TIF money gets eaten away by litigation because you didn't want to ask when it was free.
Are you directing that to me?
Directed to all of you.
Just make it clear.
You're on the TIF board.
Let's get on to something else.
Don't
Well,
get it.
I'm gonna say one thing, Bill actually asked,
I got it.
actually asked, for us to maybe kind of give our opinion, I'll just admit that too. I was at the meeting when all the kids was here, that you was, most of you was, and the parents, nobody wanted that building tore down, that's as far as we've got.
They nor sent in.
Nobody wants
They
it.
nor sent in the paperwork.
Huh?
They nor sent in the
Yeah,
paperwork.
they wasn't, but
Nobody
they,
sent it in.
and they would have been sick if this building got tore down, that's what.
Well,
I'm
They should have
told.
stated that in the paperwork.
If I can comment here just for a second. I talked to several people that found the paperwork confusing, and also, if you want to take a step back and look at the big picture, as far as voters in this town, if there was only one questionnaire sent to every household, what'd you accomplish?
In my experience, if you have 10 meetings, you're gonna have the same people at every one of them.
That's right.
Well, I think right now the clock.
Let's go to old business.
Okay, let's go to some other business here.
No, hang on a minute.
Well, let's do it.
Well, let's do it in just a second.
Well,
What I'm saying is this TIF has sat here for 17 years. And once again, it's like, let's worry about the sewer plant, let's not worry about that. Well, 8 months ago, I was wanting to worry about the sewer plant, and all I heard is how damn good it was going. So I can multitask, and I think that's our job. We've got to run the whole city, not just focus on one thing while it's important. In 6 years, that TIF's gonna be over, and Granby will have missed out. And I feel guilty sitting here in this chair thinking about the last 17 years and the thousands of dollars that could have went. I think people don't get the big picture on this, to where that TIF was to improve the tax base of the city. It's been used as we'll worry about that later, 23 years is a long damn time. Well, here we are, boys. It's the twilight of it. Now, if we choose to not worry about it, not hear the people, and blow it off, then,
I said,
well, I know,
we
but
can
I
have a
think,
couple more meetings, no.
well,
But the wastewater treatment plant is the most important thing right now. If this is a campaign speech and all, I don't have time for it. Let's
Bill, it's
go to
not a
old business.
campaign speech,
Hey,
it's something since you brought it up.
hey, we're going to something else, whether you like it or not.
Well,
We
I
got business
don't
here.
really think.
Okay,
you
we
can
got
do
old
that.
business, we got old business.
Are you in a hurry to get out of here tonight?
I might be, it could be,
Well-
but the main thing, we got old business, just be quiet.
If we're too damn busy for you, you can go ahead and leave.
No, I can't. This is old business and that's my business, so just bring this up.
I don't think your last name's Granby either.
Sold cars, well, sold police cars, Terry's Auto Auction, January 14th. The 2003 Expedition. It actually run 29 something. It says 2810. That was because they took the cost out of selling it. And the 205 Ford Precision to run 3,300 and or something like that, and they took out the selling price and it run $33,159. I made the decision on that. The auction called me. He couldn't get hold of you, Jacob or something. Anyway, Jacob didn't get mad about it when we got done, because it was close to what we could probably get. But the weather could have changed, and I have experience with bills. The weather could have changed, and we would have had less money brung in, and we'd had to pay another $100 a piece to resell them. So we're all in good on that, aren't we, Jacob?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's what happened.
I expected to get around 7, and that's, a little less,
Together,
but
yeah. But if you had cold weather the next week, we could have got less money. And we'd have paid the extra 200. But do you have something here now, Jacob, on the rest of this? FYI, region recycling?
That's
Well,
Well, that's us, yeah, that's it. Okay, that's Paul. Okay, I'm sorry.
the Region M recycling grant, we asked for 24,400, and we got 20.
Got $20,000.
What is that, what is that for?
The recycling center?
The center?
Yes, it's for, we're hoping to get a cardboard trailer for East Newton so we can recycle their cardboard. They've got lots of cardboard from their kitchen, books, whatever, and then also personnel.
And how much was the cardboard being followed?
9.
9, okay.
Anyway, that sounds like a good deal. Awarded $20,000 to take care of the expenses to try this. It might work. It might get some profit coming in Granby, huh?
It just keeps going.
Yeah. Okay, discuss the gas and water rate increase. This is just a discussion. Nothing, no big deal decided probably tonight, and we may not need it.
I jotted down here, Richard, that.
Good, okay.
What we should be looking at on in gas is probably somehow, and I don't know how you figure this, but quarterly, whatever the average price of gas is that the price we paid for it, add the amount of expense to it, and that will be what's billed. And that number could be good at times if we can buy good. If we can't buy good, it's not, but it always covers the city and makes sure there's plenty of money in the reserve for any types of maintenance or repair. Now, I don't know what those numbers are. I looked and tried to figure that out, but there's an amount there that's X number of dollars above what we paid.
We could have used that probably last year, but what I see now, and what we are paying now, we bought in, we brought in at about 420.
It's like 435.
435.
What is, does
Okay.
anybody have an idea on what it does cost to maintain? What's the cost per unit? Is there a number there that anybody has knowledge of? Jim, do you have anything?
What we're paying.
If you're paying for, what's it cost?
Gas, what are we paying to transport?
75 cents.
So there's, you're at 5 and a nickel.
But
Then you gotta
also,
figure your.
and it's so
We're
hard to
talking
figure.
about repair and maintenance of just,
It's hard to figure for more reasons than one. And like Jim said, the transportation is pretty high because I've signed the checks. But when you're,
it's the same.
Well, your number of costs is gonna be, quarterly, it should be close to the same. If it's, I'm just using a rough ballpark figure, if it's $4,
well,
okay, if you was able to buy gas at $3, then it's $7 to the bill.
yeah,
If you had to buy it at $5, it's $9 to the bill.
yeah.
That
Well,
always keeps the city clear.
right now, the way it's happening, we bought it for, what'd you say, 430? Around that, okay, we bought again. About a third as much maybe, that's an estimate. Okay, when we did, we bought it at $3.15, or $3.21,
No.
one of the two. Okay, I figured on paper about, we're paying for gas about $3.75 because you got the two together. You bought here and here, so, and we should have plenty of gas. Well, also, you read your TV as much as I do, most likely the gas is gonna stay pretty low, at least this year. But if it don't, we could go into the system like you're talking, but it looks like we're making good money, right?
Well,
What I need to do is, we should be getting our next bill within the next week, okay? That's for the previous month. And then at next council meeting, I will show you what we billed, what we spent, again, okay?
okay, there has to be a cost number somewhere.
Let me do that, okay? Because we always get our bills, they're a month behind.
And for the city part, in order to, pass that along to the customer, we try to buy gas as cheap as we can,
Right.
as cheap as we can buy it,
Right.
and then pass that number to the community.
See, that's,
We got to
I really
know.
trying to lock it in.
We got to know, yeah, that locking it in is,
So if you can wait until the next council meeting and let me get, for the next, it'll have all the 6 months, July, I'm thinking years. July the 1st through December, I will have all the numbers of what we billed, what it cost, okay? And then we can look at that and then project for the next 3 months, 6 months, year, okay?
Yeah, then all we have to do is try to buy as cheap as possible.
Right.
let me add one more equation to this and make it more mixed up than it is. Okay, a few days ago, or a month, you see, was that in December, we wrote that check, pretty good sized check to pay the gas? When you got redone the gas 20 years ago, or 15, we're still paying that. And
We're
that's how
paying
it
for the
happens.
certificates of participation, bond, whatever, yes.
Okay.
Joe,
That's gotta
look
come
up
out of
here
your
about
gas.
the bird.
Well, that's what
And
I
it's
say.
big, and it's every year until it's paid for, and we redone it, I don't know when, but it's there, and it's big money.
Well, isn't it similar to the way you calculate?
We had to borrow money from
You
another,
gotta have so much.
But we've only,
Yeah, you gotta figure all your labor charges.
we borrowed money from one entity, like what street entity, to get that. Well, Paul's already paying that back, that's
Well,
good.
yeah,
But we
and-
still owe from the gas, we still owe money that we can't pay for the gas.
What I'm talking about is how we proceed in the future.
yes.
Yeah, but we need to know it, and if all that's added in, we'll probably raise that gas bill, because we're not making it all without borrowing money from the street.
Can I ask a question?
Sure you can.
Always before, we've always figured, when I was here, we needed 30% markup. That's in order to meet the payments and to put back for repair and maintenance.
Well, that's a number that I was looking for then.
30%
Maybe
is what
30%,
we're
maybe something different, but that's what I'm looking
The
for.
old standard's
Whatever
33%.
the price of gas plus 30%. Is that sound right? That close?
If you can get that for what you owe.
Well, if we could figure out a way to somehow get that on paper.
Okay, what we doing now?
I'm done.
Oh, you,
My gas had just totally went skyrocket, you know.
we have
Can I
that.
have a request to have a new meter?
You might not want that.
Why?
Because they speed up, they don't slow.
A gas
Well,
meter, a
they
gas meter
slow
will
down
not.
when they get
A
out.
gas meter won't speed
Once
up.
and what I got now.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah, it will.
Uh-huh.
It'll be 20, I would say it'll be
It'll be
25% more,
I know that for a fact.
15 to 25%.
It's happening all the time, isn't it, Jim?
Yes, it
Every
does.
time you put in a
That's
new
why-
meter.
I don't mind,
Is there
man.
That's why I'm gonna do a replacement.
If your meter's
You put in
over
an
10
old
years
meter for me
old,
then?
Yeah,
Seven years, they'll lose
7, they say,
15 to 20%.
7 to 10 years, and then you better not, after 15, you better keep your meter.
Well, we want to keep that meter. Well, okay,
That's
but
why
what
I'm
I'm
gonna start
saying,
a meter
We're about
replacement with my
double,
gas and my water.
checking the numbers.
okay.
Right, yeah, we can reread it, and which we've done. But it's,
Sure, you can leave meter.
I think the last month,
I think it was.
It was built for surprise people, they didn't realize what they did use, because you're not the only one that has voiced about
But
it.
she
I mean,
jumped from 2,000 feet to 17,000 feet.
We have,
Someone didn't read the meter like that.
2,000 to
We've
17,000?
had some others that was like that too.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Well, what that come out, well, Joe, you and Jim, you know that when you make a mistake on a meter and the boys read it next time, it's
You
gonna
really
come
pay
out
for it the
and
next-
they'll be giving you back $300 or $400 for it.
Oh, yeah, really.
But anyway, it works out.
My house stays at 60 degrees.
Huh?
My house sets at 60 degrees. I've never changed mine,
Yeah.
even from December.
Yeah, and you're well
So
insulated.
oh yeah, insulated, yeah.
Well, we haven't raised against us. And
Well, I know you haven't raised a gas
Won't be
price.
much if they
But I just
did.
can't figure out why, the double.
Yeah.
It really
Okay,
does.
Jim, check. You want a work order made out?
I'm a citizen, I'm
Paul's got it.
Yeah, okay, we got it. Yeah, they've been taking care of a lot of that lately. So, okay, Bill, you wanna go home here or what? Let's see, where we at? Move
They're coming off for
You want to go hunt, come on. Okay, ladies, okay, who's that? Is that here? Is this in about X?
No, you're on number 4.
Oh, up here we are, yeah, down there, I got to drop them down. Okay,
Status of the speed limit sign.
status of speed limit
What's
sign.
going on?
Okay, I guess, Jacob could tell you.
Called MoDOT, they were supposed to come out in December and do whatever it is they do to get an estimate of traffic flow through Granby.
It's going on right now.
Are they doing it now?
Yeah, they got markers in the road.
Yeah.
They took them up. They took them up, okay, so it's,
Well, okay then, a little bit early on that, yeah.
Okay.
They told me to be there
Yeah, I thought
December.
maybe they'd wait until they repaved the road, I didn't know, but anyway, that's good, thank you.
they had them put like out by the liquor store and
They've done them twice. They had them by
Yeah.
Ramey's, up by
Okay,
Shotguns.
Well, that was
and
a
out
short
by-
one, isn't it?
Huh?
That was a short one.
And right, hey.
That's how I like it.
Okay.
Clap your hand. Okay, where we at? Set budget work session meeting. We're needing to set a budget meeting to work on our budget that we never got done completely.
Work session.
When you guys want to do that? Or do you want to at all? That's what we got to, don't we? All right, do you have any dates you'd like to pick out for that? That sounds easy to remember, the far too.
Oh, I'm,
Tomorrow, what do you think? Week tonight, Tuesday?
I'm okay with that.
You all right?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to next Tuesday night at 6 o'clock or 6:30, whichever.
6 would be good.
6
How about you? 6
o'clock.
You'll be home
February,
That's the 3rd.
February 3rd.
Yeah.
February 3rd at 6 o'clock, budget day, okay? Okay, I have all the paperwork you need, John. Okay, new business?
No, I need to have somebody second that, please.
I second.
Oh, yeah, okay. Slow down, Ray, slow down. Okay, all those in favor? Brianna? Okay. We're to new business then. Raise for recycling part-time employee. I don't guess he has to be here. Do you know the details, Paul?
He said he wasn't gonna be here. Elton got hired on March 7th, 2007. He's been making $9 ever since.
That's what he started with, $9.
He's put in the cleaner.
And well, he's.
And he's getting
He's been
part-time?
off and on.
He's stopped and started, yes.
Yeah, and how many hours he work a week?
How many hours does he work a week?
Yeah, I guess,
How many hours does he work?
I guess it's a good question. We could ask everybody that if we wanted to.
it's roughly
28 hours. It's like 25, 28 hours.
Whatever he turns in, and he only get, in other words, he's part-time, right?
Yes.
Does his pay come out of that grant money?
Yes.
It does.
20
Was
hours.
there anything in that grant money added for the increase in salary for?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. There's three that's in there. And one.
What are we gonna do? Anybody got any wild ideas about old Eck? He's been with you since 2007, hadn't had a raise. But he didn't show up tonight, I know.
On and on.
I I usually tell them when you want to raise, eyeball.
Yeah.
Come in there, just look at you.
What can we afford to stay within our budget?
Right now, the grant reimburses us for $9 an hour.
We didn't ask for anything different in
I
the
didn't
last
ask
grant.
for more, no.
So really, we can't give him one without reaching into our own sack of money.
That might be the last grant you get too. Maybe stretch.
You never know from one year to the next.
No.
Or no cardboard track.
Hey, how about this idea? We're having a budget meeting this coming Tuesday night, right? Could we hold X-rays till, talk about his raise?
Table it till after the
The
budget
next
meeting, till
yeah.
the next council
It'll be the
meeting.
very next meeting, Paul. Is that okay?
Yeah, because we'll figure
Bill
out where it's
Cooper,
gonna
you
come
gonna
from.
make that motion? to
I make
table?
that motion to table it, Elton's raise, to the next council meeting after having the business meeting February the 3rd.
Second.
Got a second? All those in favor? Very nice. Okay, Pat. Okay, we're looking at hiring a cleaning lady for City Hall. I guess she quit, is that right?
I actually let her go because I couldn't depend on her.
Yeah.
And so Christina, through the Christmas holidays, has been helping us out on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And she said that she'd like to have the job. We were paying the other person $10 an hour contract, which we can go ahead and do that again. I can depend on Christina. I owe.
Just transfer whatever was going to the other lady to
Yes.
Christina.
But not during working hour, working hours,
No,
is she?
no,
How many hours are we looking at?
4 hours a week.
I mean,
4 hours.
4 hours a week.
Did you cut her hours back? There was some discussion of
I
that.
know, I haven't yet, but I will.
Is there some way we could,
What are we doing? I didn't hear that.
why couldn't we put that into her job description?
And just have her come in on Tuesdays and Thursdays and pay her the $8 and not, what do you wanna put it on a contract with labor like it's always been?
I think we'd be money ahead just to figure it into the extra persons. I mean, if you're gonna pay her $8 an hour, if you just need her for an hour or two,
Right,
I mean, it's not gonna pay to have her come in all day, if you just need her for,
right.
just come in and work that out in schedule.
Send her home when.
You're basically just gonna take the 40 and transfer that into Christina's salary, whatever that was. Is that-
Well,
so it
not
was 40 a
exactly.
week?
What she's saying is, when there isn't work, send her home.
Travis,
When there's,
Ma'am,
is there going to be anything to somebody coming in and applying for this?
Gonna take
Either
applications.
applications or?
well, what I was, my deal was just to incorporate it into your current
In our
job
duties.
description.
You know, I'm retired, but geez, it's supposed to be, you know, that's only 4 hours a week. You know, that's just, what do you think?
not like to see.
Christina, she wanted the job and she needs the job. You know, that's
You
it.
get it, sure.
She got 2 kids, 3 kids.
Well, we just need to look at saving all we can, and I was just thinking if, I mean, I know there's times you said you didn't have a lot to do,
Right.
to kind of try to use what we've got the most
So
efficient.
instead of cutting her hours back in, what you're saying is go ahead and do these things that this other lady was doing.
Yeah. I mean, we discussed cutting her hours back here a while back, when it said that she didn't have enough to do with this and that and the other. Apparently that never happened.
We never cut them that. We
You
didn't,
said she was gone.
well, we didn't ask her that.
Christmas,
She does a lot of work, guys. I don't know.
So how many hours are you gonna let her work?
Hell, I don't know.
How many hours you working out, Paul?
she works 3 days a week, 7 hours, 21 hours.
You'll watch it, if you have to put her on full time.
According to the handbook, over 20 hours is full-time.
So?
Okay.
Well, Well, I'm just saying, there was discussion that she didn't have.
Is that the
enough to do.
reason that the other lady was brought on as contract? Because
we've always had a contract cleaning lady.
Issued her a 1099.
I mean, I'm just thinking, I don't know how long it takes, but I mean, the dust, clean some windows and stuff like that. If she's done, how many times a week is the contracted lady, how many times has she done it?
2 days a week,
For
2 hours each day.
4 hours,
If you
4 hours a
stretch-
week.
4 hours a week.
Well, I'm saying, if you stretch that out into 30 minutes a day, and somebody's here all the time, or 3 hours, or 3 days a week,
Well, are we making a mistake here by Christina being here more than 20 hours?
well, I mean, is she covered up every minute of the day she's here? Well, then I think we could save some money by doing it that way. I mean,
So just keep her at, okay, I got you.
I mean,
Under 20 hours a week, under 20 hours a week.
We wouldn't
and
want
let
to
her
put it
be
here
a
in
cleaning
the
person.
office clothes on, scrub toilets.
I know, I wouldn't want to.
And the crossing guard and
That's 8 hours.
I mean, it's not like she's cleaning up the restroom.
The 8 hours, now, 8 hours for crossing, is it 8 hours for crossing guard? Is that part of this 20? Crossing guard, that's a separate
Yes.
deal.
It's separate deal.
It's half of the city and half of the school. Table it, go to school, go to school.
We can, we'll figure out another cleaning person. Like,
Well, why don't you run past her and see what she thinks?
okay.
All I have to, may I say something?
Sure.
We've been giving Christina more work. I've given her some of my responsibilities as far as data entry goes. She's been doing that, and she's been giving her more data entry.
And I give her more work too when I come in, have her make calls for me or something.
Well, this is stuff that has, this is stuff that has to be done every month. It's stuff that has to be kept up, the data entry on the water usage, the data entry on the minutes for listening. I've been giving her more.
I mean, that's what she was hired for.
Yes,
We
yeah.
seem to be, you know what I mean,
But
running hot and cold.
she's getting a lot more.
Okay.
She is getting a lot more. Excuse me?
I said she shouldn't be because it's only supposed to be 20 hours.
She's not getting.
Well, what
more
I'm
hours,
saying
she's
is when
getting
she's
more
here,
work.
she's got more responsibilities, Joanne.
Okay, I understand that.
Really been
Thank
working
you.
on it, and it seems like it's working for her.
Well, I don't know, why don't you guys see what you can work out and see if
Okay.
she's working too
I'll get
much or
back
not
with you.
enough.
I'll get back.
We
with
need
you.
her, or we don't need her.
set her down and talk to her.
Seems like every time she comes up, we get a different story.
Okay, what are we gonna do? Put that down the road?
Always gonna talk to her, so we'll tell you.
Okay.
That enough to go on down to number 3. Purchase 5 valves for decanter and wastewater plant from Haynes Incorporated in the amount of $1,300. I think we just gotta approve that, right, Richard?
Yeah, we already ordered it.
Yeah. And that's who you have to get it from, to get the right quality. Okay?
Could I just get a motion in a second?
I make a motion to, pay for 5 valves for decanter at wastewater plant in Haynes Incorporated, the amount of $1,300.
Is there a second? Second. Got a second, all those in favor? 3-0. Okay, here we go, Victor, you're there already, okay. Part-time person for wastewater plant, and you gave us a letter here somewhere. Yeah, from, that you sent, to the Reserve Department. This is what, oh, I see you want to talk about that too.
Oh, no, it's part of the infiltration.
Okay.
Nothing has been done, through the year, like the final record
I was
wise.
glad you found that you knew that.
Yeah, it's due every year, and that's part of it, that Gene Spears has been talking about.
Yeah, yeah. They talked about it up there, and we did, I didn't know, and I don't know if Gene did, but I think Travis might have, they found it down there. That, what you was talking about, this smoke deal?
Yeah,
There's a brand new smoke.
That's big, man, ain't that a big thing to do, to have, and then you gotta get a crew in there to test it, and Jim and them?
Yep, it'll take a couple guys to use that equipment. We also have the TV camera too, which would take a couple of guys to get out and work.
Yep.
But that's what Gene had been talking about. Is
Yes,
We need to have
DNR
personnel to
too,
use
yeah,
this.
big time. Yeah.
Yeah, Vicki, you had a request for the part-time help.
Yeah.
Is that somebody relieve some of the work that you do?
Help relieve me, but also to try to
Use some of the equipment?
use some of the equipment. But we need to have somebody to cover me if I'm sick or want to take a day off or go on vacation.
You had men in your budget already
Yes.
appropriated?
Yeah, with the
One
new-
or two? One?
We figured 2 part-time people, one through the infiltration, we'd add money in there for a guy for about 24 hours a week.
That includes the smoke deal?
Yeah, that's part of the guy.
Does that relieve, does a new man, do you have any ideas, do you have to put an ad out, or what do you do for that?
Well, yeah, for the city, we would put an ad out, kind of explain what I'm looking for, and maybe somebody with some experience or experience.
Do you have any idea what the pay level would be or should start?
I'm thinking around the $9 to $10 an hour range, somewhere around there. And we just need to make sure it's below that threshold of part-time, full-time employee.
Can that person relieve a little of the overtime load that you have now?
Exactly, that's part of the,
So it's almost this position almost pays itself out.
it would, versus paying me overtime right now. And, like this weekend, I like to go to a wrestling meetup in Sedalia. There's nobody.
Well,
here.
just like on this pay period, one of my guys had 8 hours overtime for working out there for Victor. So see, that would have been, the part-time guy would have covered that, right, Vic?
Yeah.
When you and Gene sat down and made this, it was.
That's
It
all
worked out,
calculated,
right?
it's all calculated
And
into
it
the
was 2
rates.
part-time people.
I think some of
But
Bill's
then the
concern
original
was
one-
is that is there money to do it? And I think if overtime is relieved, I think it's probably doable.
Yeah, there.
We got Kayla again.
You said, 2 part-time people, is that 2 part-time people at 12 hours a week?
Well, that's what, I don't know what
One
the threshold is.
part-time person at
I
24
figured it
hours?
at 24 hours a week.
Okay, but that would be considered full-time.
Well, that's what I thought
Yeah.
part-time was 24 hours a week, so.
Okay, so it's just 21 hours.
Well,
What is the word on the part-time? Is it 20 or is it 24 or is it 19? I'm not clear.
Well, I know they were getting ready to change it.
I think we need to probably update.
We need to get clarification for sure.
I know, I'm
In the personnel manual, it's 20 hours.
Excuse, what
That's
you
what,
say?
that's what Granby considers a part-time employee, or is that the?
What'd you say?
So we probably need to see what the state recognizes.
So
That's
where the
Granby's?
state, where
Granby?
benefits have to kick in, that's what we're trying to avoid
Walters
is,
is 25.
so that's where we need to clarify. But what I'd like to do now is to be able to start the process, start advertising, looking for somebody, say we're gonna pay you $10 an hour, whatever it is, and at least try to start going forward. Because the good time to start addressing this I&I is during the spring, during the rainy season, to really get out there and start, televising, so.
So do we need to put an ad in the paper, what do you want?
Well, yeah, I would like to, I would advertise.
That for me?
Yeah, no, I take care of all that. We'd advertise, at Crowder, wherever we need to do it, but,
Crowder's a good place.
or where.
Well, we got you, Victor.
I just don't know, I don't know what you want.
No, I take care of that.
And I'll help you, whatever.
We're really just needing a starting point here.
You don't wanna do that though, until we get clarification on the hours, correct?
Before you put it in paper.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But, so we'll try to get a clarification on what
We'll
full-time.
look at it first tomorrow, okay?
Get clarification, maybe we can address this at our budget meeting.
Okay.
Because the sooner the better we get started on this.
Yeah, it is.
Well, they're gonna hold you up a while, but
Yeah, no, it is gonna take.
Do we need to make a motion to pursue it?
I make a motion, we pursue it, to
Budget meeting.
clarify the state requirements on part full-time, and to address this at the budget meeting, the third.
I'll second.
all in favor?
You might want to put in there to adjust the employee manual accordingly.
We'll cover
Because
that.
it's not, it'll always stay with
Yeah,
whatever is more.
let's find out and then we'll
Is that it for you,
write
Victor?
that wrong.
That's it for me now.
Yeah, I wish we could got your help a little sooner, but Maybe we'll get on here, get on the ball and get it done. Okay, Police Chief Jacob Kelly, are you here still?
I'm still here.
Okay.
I want to give you an update on the radio tower. I've been working with RCS. The climbers came out and photographed it. They had some concerns with some rust that was on it, but I think they're gonna agree to do it anyway. RCS is waiting to make sure that they do have all the equipment ordered and it's ready to go in as soon as they get the climbers over there to attach it to the top of the tower. So I can give you an
What,
update
you
on
think it's too much pressure?
the rust on the
Oh,
tower.
rust? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're concerned about it.
And the water brush and painting on the way down.
I did, but exactly.
Or the way up, either way.
Wait up here, just take care.
Anyway, they're gonna try to do it.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's-
right.
Given the weather, so hopefully.
So this is all paper, we got an update.
Yep, just giving you an update on where it's at.
Update on.
On grant, at the end of last year, we applied for a grant. On the grant, I applied for cages for the cars and for new flashlights for the officers and for emergency trauma kits, which are basically packs that the officers would carry in cars in case of gunshots or serious trauma. They'd have something to keep themselves alive until the ambulance got there. The grant was approved for a little over $5,400. We have to pay 10% of that, so our cost will be about $544. I just wanted to get the approval to go ahead and start getting that equipment ordered in cars.
City's gotta pay that?
$544 with the city. And we've already got the,
What?
We got the check.
I mean, the 10%.
He's got it in repair and maintenance.
You already got the check?
yeah, we already got the check.
So you need $544.
That's
Coming out of the training fund.
Yeah,
Come out of your training fund?
or
He's got
wherever.
savings, he's got
savings, whatever.
savings.
Okay, they gonna cost.
I make a motion to go ahead and let Jacob purchase or get the cages, flashlights, trauma kits, whatever, et cetera, ordered for $544.
I say,
All in favor?
you did say whatever.
You got a vote there.
Yes.
Three of them.
He said whatever, you do whatever you want now, right?
Okay.
Whatever.
So I was thinking.
All right, I got one more there.
Purchase of portable radios. I've been talking with Aaron Ambrose, which is our representative with Midwest Public Risk, our insurance carrier for the city, and been talking to him about different things we could do to lower our liability costs and things, different trainings. They don't really offer anything like that. What I did find out is that apparently we get 3% back every year. Are you familiar with this contributions thing? And he said right now we have about $2,200 in there. We're fixing to lose 300 of it because we haven't applied it to anything. What they do, if we don't spend that money, is they apply it towards our payment for the next.
Right.
So since we've already spent the money and it's just kind of sitting there, we can hold on to it and apply it towards the next payment, or I'd like to go ahead and use the money and get us some radios. Basically,
$2,200.
the quote I have is right at $2,000 for radios.
You need them?
We do need them. We're down to, I think we've got 3 of our personal radios are all that's working, and they're not working real great. You can see my antenna's duct taped. So
My radio I use is my personal.
I have purple duct tape.
Okay, could you explain that to me about that? You got $2,200 laying there?
We have, our insurance company sets back money for law enforcement.
they say go for law enforcement, public works, fire, basically anything that safety related.
But it has to be safety related.
Well, I'm just explain to you.
That-
Is that, you already told that, didn't you? Yeah, okay, what do you guys think?
So I need a motion.
Huh?
Do you have money in your budget to kick in the rest for those radios?
Well, we have to pay we pay for it up front, and then we send them the receipt where we paid for it, and they reimburse us for it. So, up to what we have in our account, which is more than enough to cover the radios. The radios will be right at $2,000.
Okay, I'll make a motion to let Chief Jacob Kelly purchase the portable radios with our, what do you want to call it?
Safety funds.
Safety surplus fund,
Contribution fund is what they refer to it as.
contribution fund slash.
Okay, got a second on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Ira, I put you down, I heard you first.
All right.
That'll work.
Thank you, that's all I got.
Okay. Anybody wanna go home? You're on, Bill.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We got a motion to adjourn, is there a second? Second. We got a second, all in favor? Really?
So go home and see what.